Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, for this opportunity to speak to the House. And I thank my honourable friends for their contributions to this very, very important debate on food and farming. It is an absolute honour to address this chamber as the newly elected Member of Parliament for the South Cotswolds. The South Cotswolds is a new constituency formed from parts of the former Cotswolds and North Wiltshire seats. Sir Geoffrey Clifton Brown continues in his service in the North Cotswolds, while James Gray served North Wiltshire for 27 years. Although Mr Gray's and my political views may differ substantially, he was a dedicated constituency MP, and I hope to follow in his steps in that regard, at least. The Cotswolds has a well-deserved reputation for its natural and architectural beauty. It always gladdens my heart to see the soaring, slender spire of St Mary's Church in Tetbury, or the elegant honeystone buildings around the marketplace in Cirencester, or the awe-inspiring arches of Malmesbury Abbey. We have beautiful villages, including 3 category winners of the best-kept villages in Wiltshire: Ashton Keynes, Seagree and Hankerton. We have vibrant communities, thriving businesses and visionary innovators and inventors. King Charles had the good taste to choose Highgrove near Tetbury as his country home, and his gardens are well worth a visit. I'm still waiting for my invitation to join His Majesty for an organic cream tea at Highgrove. The South Cotswolds is a rural constituency, characterised by a rich agricultural landscape and with a proud farming heritage and a plethora of fabulous farmers' markets full of tempting goodies. 87% of the land within the Cotswolds area of outstanding natural beauty is dedicated to agriculture, and we have over 750 farm holdings in the South Cotswolds, employing over 2,000 people. Our beautiful landscape is a diverse mix of crops and grassland, with livestock farming being a significant sector, with cattle, sheep and pigs. I can recommend the Cirencester Livestock Market as probably the best place in the constituency, if not in the country, to get a gargantuan farmer's breakfast that really sets you up for the day, if not for the entire week. The Cotswolds are known for our traditional farming practices, with the majority of the farms being family-run, often for many, many generations. But there's lots of innovation too. Earlier this year, I hosted an event at the Royal Agricultural University in Cirencester, where we heard how many farms in the region are embracing sustainable and regenerative approaches, focusing on soil health, wildlife conservation, and local food production. The Royal Ag itself is leading the field, so to speak, with zero-dig farming methods. But not all is rosy in the Cotswolds garden. Our farmers are frustrated by the absence of a long-term strategy. They need to plan 20 or 30 years ahead beyond the next electoral cycle. They need a clear vision of the future, a vision that can survive changes of government. And we need to attract more young people into farming. Last year, I helped a couple of farmers to bring in the Brussels sprouts harvest. As I stood in a muddy field on a grey December day, they told me what problems they've had recruiting young people into farming. 38% of farmers are aged 65 or older, and only 15% are under 45. Astonishingly, it seems not many young people enjoy being out in the middle of a field in all weathers, doing hard physical work for very little money. Yet a significant number of them do, but the main obstacle is getting access to land. So I'm pleased to hear the Secretary of State imply that he will be working to encourage more younger people into farming, making it easier and more rewarding for them to help to feed our country with high-quality food that hasn't travelled halfway around the world. On the southeastern edge of my constituency, a really exciting initiative is underway at the marvellously named Crappers landfill site. where they're leading on sustain circles. Now, this concept aims to meet 80% of a community's food, housing, jobs and energy needs within a defined radius around the community, increasing self-reliance and resilience. So they're pioneering this idea with a plan to position pressurised plastic greenhouses on old landfill zones, using the methane emissions from the decomposing rubbish to heat the greenhouses. They aim to grow enough fruit and vegetables to feed Royal Wootton Bassett, Brinkworth and Malmesbury. We need more creative projects like this. Elsewhere in Wiltshire, a proposal for a massive solar farm on 2,000 acres of mostly agricultural land has sparked debate about how we choose to use our land. And I think we need to stop thinking of housing here, renewables here, and food production here, and look at more creative ways to make our land multi-layered and multi-purpose. It's becoming clearer than ever that we need an integrated strategy, not least because building more houses will increase rainwater runoff and increase the burden on an already overloaded sewage system. In my constituency, last year alone, the Fairford Sewage Treatment Works pumped untreated sewage into the River Colne for 3,391 hours, which equates to over 4.5 months within 1 year. Incidents that are meant to be exceptional are happening on average over 3 times a week. Across the constituency, sewage is flooding into houses, into gardens, and into schools. It's flooding out across fields where cattle consume it, get sick, and die. I urge Thames Water to upgrade the Fairford Sewage Works as a matter of the utmost urgency, and for Ofwat to make sure that they do. For me, the cleanliness, or otherwise, of our rivers is personal, and I'd like to share a little background here. I am not from anywhere in particular. My father was a Methodist minister, and my parents moved house for the first time when I was 2 years old, and continued to move house with annoying frequency thereafter. My father's excuse was that he ran out of sermons after a certain number of years, and so we had to move house so that he could recycle them. Now, I'm all in favour of recycling, but I do think he presumed a higher degree of attention and a longer span of memory than the typical church member maybe has. But anyhow, sadly, my parents are no longer around to see me take my seat in this house, but I know they would be proud. They believed that their job was to serve the community above all else, as exemplars of God's love, and I'm honoured to follow in their footsteps. But I digress. Since I've been old enough to choose where I live, I seem to keep coming back to the River Thames. I took my first oar strokes on the Thames in Oxford and rowed out of Thames Rowing Club in Putney for several years. I've lived in Fulham, Putney, Brentford, Kew, Richmond and Windsor before moving to the Cotswolds. The River Thames rises in my constituency, little more than a trickle just outside Cricklade, gradually gathering tributaries, including the highly polluted Colne, to become the magnificent Father Thames that flows past these Houses of Parliament. So the Thames has been a constant thread throughout much of my adult life. So I care passionately about water issues and about climate and nature more generally. And this is a passion that led me in my 30s to spending an inordinate amount of time alone in a tiny rowboat in the middle of various oceans, as I rowed solo across the Atlantic, Pacific and Indian, using my voyages to raise awareness of environmental issues and our growing ecological crisis. Along the way, I gained some really impressive calices, 4 Guinness World Records, and hopefully some highly transferable skills in navigating shark-infested waters that may possibly stand me in good stead in my new career. Like many who care about our environment, I sometimes despair. But in closing, I would like to say that what gives me hope for the future is the public spirit, the energy and the goodness that I see in action in the South Cotswolds. When the government is telling us that there is no money and councils are struggling, I see our communities coming together, using their creativity and resourcefulness to work out how to make a little go a long way, sharing resources, looking to their neighbours, donating time and skills, and by looking out for each other. We have fabulous organisations like the Cirencester Pantry, Heels of Malmesbury, and community fridges in Purton, Malmesbury and Tetbury. It's so inspiring to see people coming together in mutual support. People of the South Cotswolds, you inspire me and you humble me. I am so grateful to my constituents for trusting me to represent their interests and those of this country. I commit to doing my absolute best to rise to this challenge with unwavering determination, integrity and dedication. Thank you very much. Yeah.